Yeah, I was having a bit of a kind of a knocking, thumping noise in the car, and I've rebuilt all the half shafts. All the half shafts on both sides have all new universal joints, and I've rebuilt the drive shaft from the transmission with all new U-joints and everything. And I noticed on the driver's side hub assembly, I was having had a pretty good bit of play. Actually, from what I understand, there shouldn't be any play in the hub, so I'm just going to go ahead and replace both of them. But I've gone ahead. I've taken the caliper and the caliper mounting bracket off already. I've taken the rotor off. Of course, the tire. I also removed the spare tire carrier and the spare tire. Because that'll make it easier to removing the spare tire carrier. Gives you a lot more room to work up under here. So I'm not going to go into how to take off the caliper and the caliper mounting bracket or the rotor or anything like that. I mean, all that stuff's pretty straightforward, easy. I'm not going to waste the time going into that. I'm just going to go straight into getting the hub off. These are the tools that I use to get the hub off. First of all, I have a 4 horsepower 25-gallon air compressor. I used a 1/2-inch drive impact wrench, and I purchased this from Harbor Freight. This is a cheaper model, but it will do the job. This is a 36mm impact socket. 36mm is what you'll need in order to get the spindle hub nut off. This is a 3/4 inch drive torque wrench that you will need. You'll need one that goes up to at least 180 foot-pounds of torque, which is what the spindle nut is torqued down at. This is just a piece of pipe for leverage. A couple of 1/2-inch drive ratchets, a 1/2-inch drive breaker bar, 1/2-inch to 3/8 adapter, so a 1/2-inch extension, a shorter one. You really don't need much longer than that. And this is a T55 Torx bit that you'll need in order to get there are 3 T55 Torx bolts on the back of this hub, on the inside of the car, on the inside of the hub, that you have to get loose in order to take the hub out of the off the spindle. Of course, some other miscellaneous things. It doesn't hurt to have a little lubricant, spray lubricant. You'll need some needle nose pliers in order to get the cotter pin out of the spindle. A hammer is always handy. And pretty much that's it. I didn't go into the tools you'll need to get the caliper and the caliper mounting bracket off, or the tire. That's, you'll have to have your tools for that. But on the impact wrench, you can get the impact wrench behind the hub assembly, and I'll go into that. But you can get the impact wrench behind the hub in order to break these torque bits loose. And I'll get into that too. Okay, so I was able to get this setup right here along with this. This is a 1/2-inch breaker bar with a swivel joint. This is a 1/2-inch drive ratchet with a short 1/2-inch drive extension, a 1/2 to 3/8 inch adapter, and a 3/8 inch T55 Torx bit. I was able to get this what you have back in there. You have 3 T55 Torx bolts. There's one on the bottom right there. You've got another one right there. And then you've got another one. And then you've got another one back in there. It's kind of difficult to see, but you got another one right there. That one right there on the top left that's the one that's it's kind of difficult to get to, but if you work at it, you can get back in there with this setup. The way this is set up right here, this is the bottom left. You have a lot of play here in order to get you can break this one free. You can even pull this back far enough to get get your pipe on there, your breaker pipe on there. You can also do the same with this one over here on the right side of this. The one up on top, and so I have the 1/2-inch drive socket in here. You don't have a lot of room to work because this will either hit the differential. This will either hit the leaf spring over here, or it'll hit the half shaft over here. But you can get 1 or 2 clicks out of a ratchet on there and break. You can break the Torx bit loose. You can even get a pipe on there if you need to, but I really didn't need to. I'm just telling you, it would be a lot easier to work back here if you take the half shafts out. That's up to you. You know, if you want to do that, that's fine. But I was able to get all of this done without taking the half shafts out. It's just extra work, but if you want to do it, it's fine. The other 2 Torx bolts, the one down on the bottom and the one on the upper right hand side, are really easy to get to and break free. After you get all your Torx bolts loose and you get your spindle nut off, this whole assembly, the backing plate and the emergency brakes and everything just comes off as one piece. And then you just have to take the hub out of here to put the new one in. It fits in there like this, and then you just have to kind of fish it out of there. Just like that. Torque everything back down to specs, and that's pretty much it. Put the wheel back on, and I got some new cotter pins coming, so I'm not going to put everything back together right now. I put new cotter pins on everything when I take it apart, but yeah, that's it. Pretty much a pretty cut and dry, easy job. And I was saying the hose isn't hooked up yet, but you can get an impact wrench up in there with the short extension and the T55 Torx driver in all 3 holes. It does take a little bit of kind of messing around with it, but it can be done. But what I did was I used a 1/2-inch ratchet to get them loose because I didn't want to strip the heads out. And once you get the Torx bolts kind of loose, you can just put an impact wrench on it. It'll pop it right out real quick. Like on the top one up there, I actually did put the impact wrench on in order to get it loose because it was in there extremely tight. Okay, and this is the top Torx nut. You can put the impact gun behind the leaf spring right here, in between the leaf spring and the half shaft. In between the leaf spring and the half shaft, you can get it in there. And I did do that. In order to break the top one free, I did use this 1/2-inch drive impact wrench. And I'm not telling anybody what to do, but you do have to be careful. And with an impact wrench, you can strip the bolt out. It's just got to. I set the 1/2-inch extension and the Torx bit in there first, and then I hooked up my impact wrench to that. And that's the way I did that. Again, like I'm saying, if you take the half shafts out, it's a lot easier, but you don't have to. I've finished the job, and I didn't take it. That's all I took out. What I showed you on this video. What I did is I just came back here with my finger, the extension and the Torx bit, and I just got it on one of the, make sure the hub is, and the back, the dust plate is all lined up and pushed onto the spindle. I came back here with my finger and I just tightened them up with my finger as far as I could get them with my finger. Make sure they're not cross-threaded. Another one down here. I just got them finger tight. You can actually look down in the inside of the hub, between the hub and the parking brake, and you can see the bolts. Like right, you can see the head of the. I drove them in a little bit further here, so you can see right there. If you can just finger tighten the bolts, the Torx bolts into the hub assembly with your finger and get them that far, and then you know you're not cross-threading anything. And you can actually see all three of them. So the factory service manual calls for the spindle nut to be torqued down to between 151 and 177 foot-pounds of torque, and I just set my torque wrench to 175 foot-pounds, and that's what I torqued this spindle nut down to. You know, like I said, I would put a new cotter pin in there, and then you just line up your plate with your hole, whichever one lines up, and then just button everything up, put your brake caliper bracket back on, your brake caliper, put the wheel back on, should be good to go.